I just want to call them out and be like, yo, that's nasty. Put some socks on. Where your Crocs at? Huh? That's nasty. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'll clock your ass up. Sup? Done? I'm recording. Yeah. Right. Tony. Why did I say his name?
It was December 31st, New Year's Eve. My friend Alex hired me to watch his dog Bailey for the weekend while he was out of town for the New Year. I'm 35, he's 27, so I don't have that same urge to go out and party for New Year's Eve like he does. So I was more okay with making some money and taking it easy for the night. New Year's Eve was on a Saturday.
As well, we all should be. You know how many clock asses gonna be on New Year's Eve? That whole night? A whole bunch of clock asses.
He left for the city early in the day when I got there. He'd be back Sunday night. He left me with very basic instructions to just feed him and walk him twice a day and keep him off the furniture. Bailey is a very small husky mix. I'm not sure what else she is, but she's about a third the size of a regular husky, and she's very quiet and well behaved. Hence why Alex was okay with me watching her instead of a dog sitter. I brought a backpack which contained my laptop, charger, toiletries, and a change of clothes for Sunday. Alex and I don't go way back. We met through mutual friends and had started going out occasionally on the weekends ever since. I would be sleeping in the spare bedroom of his house on the futon. Throughout the day, I just did stuff on my laptop and played some of Alex's video games. Later in the night, I invited my girl over with Alex's permission. His response was, "You better not in my bed," a way of jokingly saying yes, she can come over. She said she'd be getting out of work after 12, but then she'd come straight over. Alex's house is about half an hour from us, so my girl Trisha wouldn't be getting there until late. I had to kill the time alone with Bailey watching movies until then. We were in the living room, and Bailey was by my feet. It was probably 9 p.m. when the doorbell rang. I went to answer the door, and there was a girl at the door. She looked about 30. She had a hoodie on and was holding a jacket. She introduced herself as Alex's girlfriend and said she left something here that she needed to grab.
Bitch, lying! Sorry. I don't give a club. What you talk about? Nah, I don't play that shit. Alex didn't say nothing about a possibility of his girl coming over. I don't care who you are. I don't care the business you got going on. I don't care about none of that. Okay? You could have just like the clothes on your back. Like literally, like all you have is clothes, like you naked. And you carrying the clothes on your back. I don't care. I don't care. And it's probably cold outside. Tough. Sorry. I don't give a fuck.
I offered to grab it if she wanted, and she said no, it's okay. She knew where it was in his room. I said okay, that's fine, and let her inside.
If you know where it was, why don't you tell me where it is? If you know exactly where it is, just tell me exactly where it is. I'm good at following directions.
She went straight upstairs to Alex's room and slightly closed the door behind her without latching it. I right away texted Alex, "I didn't know you had a girlfriend." She was in there for quite some time, until she came back out, still holding her jacket.
Alex, if I was Alex, I'd have been like, "You cock ass! I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have nobody except my dog. And I barely got you." You know? And to be honest, when I get back, I'm signing those divorce papers because ain't no way you should have just let somebody in without my... That's crazy. That's crazy.
She came back down the stairs and thanked me and was going straight for the door. I tried to stop her for a quick conversation, saying, "How long have you guys been dating?" And she said, "Too long," then laughed, as if making a joke. I laughed too, and then she said, "Have a good night." I was a bit surprised by the interaction, but what I gathered from it was they had probably just recently broken up.
She probably took something valuable, or she placed something in there. Some cluck shit.
Now I started to worry that maybe I shouldn't have let her in.
No shit.
Since Alex hadn't answered my text yet, I called him a few times before he picked up. He was out with his friends in a loud setting, so he could hardly hear me until he went outside to talk. I told him his girlfriend just came by to grab something, and he was completely bewildered at what I was saying.
Bewildered?
"Who are you talking about?" he said. I responded, "She said she was your girlfriend. I didn't get a name." He said in a yell, "You know I don't have a girlfriend. What did she look like?" I started to feel really stupid just about now. I described the girl, and he said he had no idea who this could have been. I then proceeded to explain to him that she went upstairs to his room for a few minutes, then came back down. This was when he started freaking out. He told me to go up to his room now and check if she stole anything. Of course, I didn't know what was in his room beforehand, so he had me check for specific things, which all appeared to still be there. He tried hard to figure out who it could have been, and said he'd call me back after he made some calls and sent me some pictures of different girls. Understandably, this was putting a damper on his night. I could tell he'd already been drinking, so I felt awfully stupid for letting some random girl into the house. He started sending me screenshots of different girls' Instagram accounts, none of them resembling the girl who came in. When I said no to all of them, he went silent for an hour. Then he texted me randomly, "I think I know who it was. Make sure she doesn't come back." I didn't ask any further questions. I responded, "Okay, my bad," and left it at that.
You're bad.
Clearly Alex was going through some serious girl drama, or so I thought. I watched the ball drop alone. Not that I really care about the new year or the ball drop at all. Later that night, Trisha finally made it over, and so we hung out in the living room together. I told her what happened, and she was shocked. But then a freakish coincidence happened. Bailey lifted her head and looked at the front door, and then there was a knocking at the door. Whoever it was didn't ring the bell. There was no shot I was opening it. I called Alex a bunch of times, but he didn't pick up. He was wasted and didn't even feel his phone vibrating. Trisha and I stayed quiet, and eventually whoever it was went away.
You sure?
I was honestly unnerved now. Surely it was in connection to whoever that girl was earlier. Maybe it was even her again. Either way, I didn't want to get involved any further in what was going on. After this, we decided to migrate to the spare bedroom where we'd stay for the night on the futon. We had a movie on as we laid down, and I held her. We fell asleep in this position and woke up at some unknown hour in the night, which I later found out was less than an hour after we fell asleep. I woke to Bailey's howling. She was in the room with us. Trisha woke up after me. Bailey was at the bedroom door with her tail wagging, howling. I whispered, "Bailey, shush." She looked at me and then came over, but she stayed staring at the door, now growling, making unhappy whimpering sounds. Then there were footsteps outside on the wood floors. We heard what had to be at least 2 pairs of footsteps, tiptoeing to the door, and then the doorknob twisted. By force of habit, we had the door locked, thankfully.
Thank God.
The girl's voice said, "Alec?" I looked at Trisha and signaled for her to stay quiet. That girl was not alone. Another light tap at the door, and then the girl's voice said, "Who's in there? This is Alex's house." I made the decision to say in a loud voice, almost a yell, "The cops have been on their way for a few minutes now, just so you know." The girl said,
"I don't give a cluck. That ass is mine."
"Who are you?" I didn't bite. I whispered to Trisha to actually call the police, and she did. The entire time she whispered into the phone.
Why did you do that? Why did you do that? I actually thought you called the police. I actually thought you let the police know they was actually on their way. But they not. Cluck you.
Loud and clear, "I dare you to do something, because the time you do it, the cops will be running through the front door." I heard a whisper on the other side of the door. Then, multiple pairs of footsteps walking away from the door. We stayed in the room, waiting for the cops to get there. Since the front door was left wide open by those people, the cops came right in. The house was clear by this point. I gave my entire recount of the story, and then called Alex multiple times until he finally picked up, still sounding pretty drunk. One cop talked with him on the phone for a few minutes while I sat with Trisha speaking with another cop. After all this was said and done, the accepted assumption was that there was a key in Alex's room taken by that girl from hours before. This was a pretty messy situation since Alex couldn't just come all the way home this late. He practically begged me to stay the rest of the night. I had Trisha go home. I stayed because I felt responsible for letting that girl in the first place. I stayed locked in that room the rest of the night with Bailey. I literally wedged a chair against the front door, some half-assed attempt at keeping them out if they decided to return. By morning, though, it seemed that they didn't return. Alex came back earlier that day than originally planned. I'm not going to air out any more private information to the internet than I already have, just in case anyone who knows him can figure out this story is about him. But he did tell me who he thought the girl was. And the story behind it proves that men have to be careful, too, with the women they choose to interact with.
Everybody got to be careful about anybody they interact with. I don't give a fuck. What you talking about? Keep your butt cheeks tight. Keep your head on the swivel. And keep Adidas on deck. You don't got nothing to worry about.
That girl and whoever was with her's intention of breaking in wasn't to steal anything, evidently, which is the scariest part. He changed his locks ASAP. I can't even imagine staying in that house if I were him after this. However, it's been a year, and as far as I know, nothing has happened. Unless he's keeping more to the story he told me, a secret.
The Zodiac? Did I say that right?
After returning from a night to celebrate the arrival of the new year, my husband and I returned to our apartment complex to turn in for the night. We both had a couple of drinks, but neither of us were intoxicated. As much as we enjoy partying with friends, when it comes down to it, we are really just homebodies. We lived in the corner penthouse suite of our complex. Although this was never confirmed, it was suspected the owners wanted to convert this apartment complex into condos. The rent certainly was not cheap, and access was limited to this floor. Upon entering the building, there is a walk-up, 2 secure doors, and every now and then, there would be a doorman to greet you as you entered or exited.
Every now and then? You lost me with that. He or she needs to be there 24/7. You know? Probably I want to say 3 doors peoples or greeters. 1 for the first shift, 1 for the second shift, and 1 for the third shift. And work all year round, around the clock, 24/7. If you got family, forget about it. You know, you're not taking no holidays off. You're not getting no PTO. You know, my life is literally in your hands. If one of y'all call off, one of y'all gonna have to do a double. You know what I mean? If 2 of y'all call off, that other person's gonna have to do 2 doubles. That's just the way it is. You know, somebody needs to be there. I need some sort of security and or greeter or the same thing at the front doors at all times, especially when I'm there.
Also, multiple security cameras placed throughout and around the building.
Okay.
It was an especially cold evening, and when we returned, there was no doorman present. It was late, at least 2 a.m. The foyer was empty, and one of the lights flickered softly. My husband and I entered the elevator and pressed the button to the top floor. The elevator ride was smooth, and as we ascended, I could...
Of course you're at the top floor. Of course you're at the top floor. You see, I can see if you was at the top floor. First of all, neither one of y'all got on Adidas or Adidas anything. I can see if you was at the top floor and you got the Adidas 26,000s on, right? Because you can just yank out the window and some clutch shit popped off and you'll be fine. Because with the Adidas 26,000s, you can just yeet yourself outside the window, right, and fall, but you're not going to fall to your death. Matter of fact, nothing going to hurt you. Because when you fall, like, let's say this is like the ground level, and you jump, see, most people, right, when they have anything but Adidas, they jump from the top floor to the bottom, and then and they dead, right? Or and they break something. You got the Adidas 26,000s on, you jump from the top floor, you landing as soft as a baby bottom. That didn't make no sense. Oh, okay. When you jump out the top floor, it's like you jumping and landing on some marshmallows because you got the Adidas 26,000s on.
I feel myself becoming more relaxed, excited to finally be home and able to rest. My feet were killing me from wearing heels all night in the bitter cold. The bell chimed, signaling we had reached our floor. The door slid open and we turned the corner to the left. Like I said, our suite was the corner suite at the end of the hall. However, something caught our eye. A woman, or what at least looked like a woman, was meandering through the hallway.
And that's when you go back on the elevator and go down the steps and just never go back into the apartment again. Just start a whole new life. You see that old lady? You see that lady? That random ass lady? You go back on the elevator, go back downstairs, go outside, and start a whole new life right then and there.
Her hair was dark and scattered. It looked to be matted and covered her face. She wore a black lace dress that was torn and looked to be in bad shape. Thinking back, I don't even think she had any footwear on. We assumed she was intoxicated.
That's disgusting. That honestly, I've had only one time in my life. I've had athlete's foot. I think it was only on one foot. And ever since then, I do not go anywhere barefooted. I don't care what you talking about. Which is crazy because it's like, I go to the gym, right? That's a new gym I go to. And this is just like, so many people are walking around barefoot, like in the locker room. People taking showers, people be in the pool, people be in the saunas, just in the locker room, barefooted. And you going on, you either you got protection on your skin, on your feet, or you taking a leap of faith, because that's disgusting. That's disgusting. That's gross. You don't know what other people got. That's disgusting. That is so nasty. Ever since I got athlete's foot, like a long time ago, I was like a teenager. I just that was horrible. My feet were burning. They was like the skin was peeling off. Like it was just a bad time. And I can't do it. I cannot do it. That's disgusting. So when I see people walking around barefooted, I just want to call them out and be like, yo, that's nasty. Put some socks on. Where your Crocs at? Huh? That's nasty. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'll clock your ass up.
Was having difficulty finding her suite. Although on closer inspection, she didn't look familiar. We knew all of our neighbors, as like I said, access was limited on this floor. I looked at my husband, who stood still as well. I could see he was contemplating the same thoughts. I asked him, should we ask if she needs help? He looked at me and said, just wait, maybe she's just drunk and having a hard time finding her suite. The woman just continued to smoke.
My partner asked me that in that situation. Should we ask if she needs help? I'm looking at you like this. Should we ask her if we need help? What was said? Oh, I thought you said something.
Police lied herself along the walls of the hallway, stopping at each door and peering through the exterior peepholes. Admittedly, this was creepy, but it just added to the theory that she was a drunk woman looking for her friends. She was humming, or what I believe was humming. The sound was something between a growl and a hum.
Jesus.
We stood there in utter disbelief and awe. However, there was a veil of tension and uneasiness that lingered. The strange woman stumbled through the hallway, hunched over until she pulled herself up to peer through the peephole. She eventually got to a suite of an elderly lady, whom I have a strong connection with. We'll just call her Tilly. Tilly was the sort of woman whose family had neglected her and rarely visited. She would bring my husband and I baked goods from time to time. I would bring her
Go back. Because what you just said in those last couple of seconds was clucked as hell.
We stood there in utter disbelief and awe. However, there was a veil of tension and uneasiness that lingered. The strange woman stumbled through the hallway, hunched over until she pulled herself up to peer through the peephole. She eventually got to a suite of an elderly lady, whom I have a strong connection with. We'll just call...
So you have a neighbor that's elderly, 60 and up, clocking up.
Her Tilly. Tilly was the sort of woman whose family had neglected her and rarely visited.
Damn. Neglected, you 60 and up, and barely visited her. Visited her? Visit her. Yep. That's clucked in itself.
She would bring my husband and I baked goods from time to time.
Yeah, nah. I'm not eating nothing you got going on. I don't care what they look like. I don't care if they smell delightful. I don't care if they look pristine. Mouth watering. I don't care about none of that. You can say what you want, what you put in there. Right? But the fact that you 60 and up, you're my neighbor, right? You old as shit. Family neglected you. And, what's his name? Your family barely visits you. That's 4 red flags. Back to back to back to back. And you want to try to cook us something for us to eat? I'm not taking no chances. Sorry, Granny.
I would bring her leftovers and assist her with groceries and medication frequently.
That's crazy.
Tilly's smoke alarm would constantly go off. I would have to rush over and pull out the smoldering toast from her toaster and
What? God damn.
baked goods from time to time. I would bring her leftovers and assist her with groceries and medication frequently. Tilly's smoke alarm would constantly go off.
That's crazy. Now her smoke alarm is going off. You know what that tells me? Because she got 4 red flags back to back to back to back. Right? Maybe, this is just a theory, maybe she's trying to cluck herself up to the max because she's done with anything and everything. Maybe she's trying to just end everything, Or maybe she hates the world and the people in it and is trying to destroy this whole apartment complex, which is a crazy ass wild theory. I don't even know why I came up with that.
I would have to rush over and pull out the smoldering toast from her toaster and fan her smoke alarm until it stopped beeping. At times a nuisance, but it would always turn into tea time.
I got a question. Smoke alarms, they notify the fire department, right? If I'm not mistaken. I've never experienced that, but I feel like that's what happens. Excuse me. Or if not the fire alarm, then I feel like it notifies somebody. So my question is, how long does a smoke alarm have to go off? Like, how long does it have to stay on, make all kinds of noise before somebody shows up, like a firefighter or somebody?
Nevertheless, I cared about Tilly, so when I saw this strange woman peer into her peephole, I reacted. I blurted out, "Excuse me, are you all right?" I could feel myself lose confidence as I asked. The strange woman seemed to shudder for a moment and hunched over to the floor. She looked like she was about to puke or was frightened by my voice. My husband and I stepped closer, but the woman then let out a series of soft and menacing laughs, just barely audible. I have to admit, in this moment,
the fact that you're still up there having this interaction with this clock ass lady is crazy.
I was thoroughly creeped out and reached for my cell phone. It was uncomfortable because we couldn't get to our suite without having to walk right past this deranged woman. My husband said, "Hey, did you hear us? Do you need help?" Her laugh began to grow into what was a steady cackle. The strange woman then stood up. As she stood up, her cackle became a mixture between a cackle and a boisterous growl. She then stumbled forward and continued walking down the hall. There was a staircase just outside of our suite. I assumed she was making her way to the stairs, just too embarrassed to walk past us to the elevator. Maybe she was just a drunk woman and this was nothing more than an uncomfortable standoff with a sad and intoxicated woman. I mean, if she was really that drunk, the stairs probably weren't a good idea. We were on the 7th floor. Nevertheless, I just didn't feel like it was worth the risk to engage with this woman. I just wanted to enter my suite and dive into bed. It was late, and my feet still hurt. As we took a few steps forward, the woman stopped. Almost with laser precision, she stood up completely straight, looked right at our door, and then began to pound on our door, screaming bloody murder. I could feel myself becoming swallowed with fear. I reached for my cell phone and began to dial 911. The woman kept pounding on our door and screaming. To be honest, I'm surprised none of our neighbors came out to see what was happening.
What you talking about? If I was your neighbor, I'm not coming out there. I'm not even cracking the door open to see a little bit. I'm locking my shit, double locking it, triple locking it, quadruple locking it. Matter of fact, I'm checking the checklist. Because if we really thought I was about to just go out there and see what's going on, I could hear the clock shit that's going on in the hallway. That's all I need to know. That's enough for me. I'm not about to go out there and see what, oh shit. No.
Part of me thinks they were too afraid themselves and were probably peering out of their peepholes, afraid of what our neighbors would think. My husband said, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop that." And just like that, the strange woman stopped, fell to the ground, and began crawling quickly towards us.
Crawling?
She looked up for a brief second. All I could see were her dark eyes. Her mouth seemed to be stained black, and she was growling again. But this time, it was as if there was something in her throat that she was choking on. Frozen with fear, my husband and I just watched until she flashed us a menacing hiss, the kind you would hear in a movie, but never imagine in real life. Terrified, I whipped off my shoes, and my husband and I ran towards the staircase on the other side of the building.
Yeah, just now.
We didn't want to risk waiting for the elevator and have her catching up. We went down 2 flights of stairs and stopped to listen if she was making her way down the stairs. But it was almost impossible to hear as my heart was pounding so hard. I thought to myself, what the hell was going on? We waited there for 10 minutes or so, until eventually we had the courage to head up the stairs and back to our suite. The woman was gone, and so we entered our suite. I was just relieved to finally be safe in my home. My husband sent a text to our landlord, and he replied that we would hear from him in the morning. I was so unbelievably exhausted, but found it incredibly difficult to sleep. The sound of that woman's growling and cackling rang in my ears. I hardly slept. The next day, when my husband went to speak to the landlord, he asked him to check the security cameras, although nothing turned up. The landlord said the cameras glitched due to the frigid temperatures last night.
My ass.
To this day, I still don't know what to think. That woman most certainly had problems. The question is, was she dangerous? We moved about a year later, but every New Year's Eve, I still think about that night.
I can't believe how long that interaction lasted.
It was New Year's Eve of 2020.
My question is, who about to clean all this, who about to clean all this shit up? That's crazy. That's crazy. Don't you know when you be outside or you be driving and you just see people picking up trash because they work for the city? I promise you, you're gonna have to pay me a stupid amount of money to get all this shit up. My ass. And I don't even know if I'm gonna get it up that night. Pause. That's crazy. Why would you Yeah, you gotta pay me like a couple of hundreds of thousands of dollars to get. That's crazy.
And all of us were ready for this horrible year to be over. My friend Logan was throwing a house party. I arrived early to help set things up. I secured a spot to sleep in his parents' room, meaning I could drive to the party and drink without having to worry about driving home. His parents obviously weren't home for the night. Most of our close friends in our friend group came, plus a bunch of Logan's friends who I didn't know. The party was fun. At midnight, everyone screamed Happy New Year and cheers their drinks. After that, people slowly started circulating out, and the party started to quiet down, as people went to either other parties, bars, or home. The later the night got, the more it became just the closer friends staying behind until it just turned into a chill drinking session in the living room. This went on late into the night. It was likely 3 a.m. when the last of everyone who wasn't sleeping at Logan's house was gone. As it quieted down, we started hearing this occasional sound. At first we didn't know what it was, but it soon started to sound like a creaking sound. It was dismissed as a sound from the fridge or something at first, which I know sounds stupid, but house appliances often make weird noises.
Sounds stupid? Or that is stupid? That literally sounds like somebody's Oh. Excuse me, and excuse me. I farted. I don't know if you heard that, but I did. And it kind of stinks, I'm not gonna lie. But that sounds like somebody's walking around. That doesn't sound like kitchen appliances, or that doesn't sound like home appliances. What the hell? If your home appliances sound like that, you gotta. Where you get your shit from? Walmart?
It was just Logan, me, and Cody. Cody was falling asleep on the couch already. It was reaching that time where we were just gonna go to sleep. However, eventually we got so bothered by the noise that we had to search. We went to the kitchen, and it wasn't coming from in there. We realized when we were close to the basement door that it was coming from downstairs. Logan opened the door, and we heard this creaking sound.
We got it.
Go check what it is, I said. He kept saying, no way. Then he called down into the basement, yo, who's down there? The creaking stopped, and we never heard it again. After a solid minute of waiting at the top of the stairs, we agreed to go down together. We both grabbed knives, drunkenly thinking that was a good idea. When in reality, we were so drunk we'd probably only hurt ourselves with them. We got to the bottom of the stairs and looked through the entire basement. It's not huge. It just has a couch, TV, a bar, a table in the corner, and various old pieces of junk. It was pretty messy at the time. The first thing we did was search any possible crevice for someone who could be hiding. Then we tried to figure out what could have been making that sound. I noticed a rocking chair, and so I went up to it, sat in it, and then started rocking in it. And it made the exact same creaking sound we had been hearing. Logan and I looked at each other. I stood up, and so did every hair on my body. I don't think we ever ran faster than we did when we ran up those stairs and slammed the door shut. We tried to come up with any logical explanation, but there was none. He kept the basement door locked for days until his parents came back. There was no living soul down there, but something was moving that rocking chair. That rocking chair used to belong to his grandma, who passed away forever ago.
Well, there go the source of the problem. Your grandma was still in that chair.
And it's just something his mom held on to for sentimental reasons.
That's crazy.
I can't say I've ever experienced anything resembling the paranormal before this, nor since then. It still sends chills down my spine.
Oh my God, that was a hard. Your grandma never left that chair. Like, what is her fixation on that chair? It's a chair. Like, it's a rocking chair. Ugh. Oh my God. So New Year's Eve is right around the corner. I hope everybody stays safe. You know, if you gotta look around, then so be it. You know, if you gotta look a little weird because you know, there's cluckiness in the air, or it's like if you just out and about, you know, New Year's Eve, waiting for the ball to drop, or you at a party, or you at a get together, or you at a bar, or you just outside, man, I would not blame you if whole time you were trying to act like you was having a good time, but you at the same time you acting like you ready for some shit to pop off. Talking about something. Have a good time. Be safe. But at the same time, watch out for the clucks and shit. What? That wasn't a word. Watch out for the cluck asses. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy, my family.